Okay, let's try that. How's that working? I'm trying this fancy new GoToWebinar system here. Haven't used this for a while, and didn't realize that there was a separate button there to turn on my mic. Okay, so how's that? Everybody hearing me now? And how does the audio sound to you? Is that audio sounding good? Is it sounding crisp and clear? Can you hear me well? I've got about 5 or 7 seconds or something of delay, so I just kind of got to wait and see what's going on. Okay, awesome. All right, this is a good time. So we're gonna do our session here, and then I'm going to stay on for a bit at the end if you want to stay on and ask questions. What we're going to do is if you have a question while I'm presenting, you can go ahead and enter it into the control panel, because my team is going to be watching the questions, and they're going to pull out the questions and they're going to drop them in for me into another document that I'm going to look at. So, go ahead and type in your questions if you have a question about some of the content, and we'll stay on. I want to remind you here to turn off anything around you that might distract or interrupt you. Okay, so turn off the cell phone, the text messages, and the instant messenger, and the Skype, and the email, and just shut all that stuff down. We want to make sure that we've got all of our attention available. And yeah, so just shut. It'll all be there when we get back, I promise. And then also make notes with, okay, something to write on. We're going to cover a lot of great material here in this class, and I just want to make sure you're not scrambling. You're not waiting until that last minute when the good information comes. I'm going to share some really good stuff here, and I want to make sure you capture it. Okay, so if you're going to be writing, get out your document to write on. If you're going to be using a computer file, just go ahead and create that now so that we're ready to roll. Okay? Okay, I've got some notes here that I'm going to be using, so let me just go ahead and grab those. A little outline. I'll also do a little screen share fun here. I want to share some news stories and things, some trends that I think you'll find interesting. All right, excellent. Let's get rolling. Hey, it's Evan Pagan. Welcome to our Best Opportunity 18 class. Thank you so much for being involved with my really appreciate you getting this. We're going to be covering, we're going to be talking about some of the material that's inside of this. I want to remind you also, if you registered for my 30-day opportunity challenge, we're going to be starting our first book study class on Thursday, and then we're going to be having classes every Tuesday and Thursday this month. I declare May Opportunity Month. Okay, so we're gonna have a month of opportunity, and whether or not you're joining me for the other classes this month, focus on opportunity in your life. Okay, so make sure and go through the book, read the book, the exercises, use what you learn in your life, and just remember that reality is accelerating right now, and we need a new way to think about it. Okay, and this book, I spent about a year writing this and a lot more learning everything that's inside of it. And this is my solution. This is my offering to you. This is me feeling like I have something to offer to you as reality is accelerating. I also want to touch into the idea that we're not just opportunists here. We're not just looking for short-term opportunity. What we're doing is we're looking for holistic opportunity. We're looking to build a successful life, and opportunity is a key piece of it. It is not all of it, okay? But we really need to find good opportunities and create good opportunities across our whole lives. All right, so let's talk a little bit. Let's set up a couple of frames here for why we're talking about the future of opportunity and my favorite opportunities for 2018. Technology is really the big news lately. Okay. And the way I think of it, technology accelerates whatever it touches. Okay. So when technology touched knowledge, we invented things like the written word, and then the book, and then the printing press. Okay. Which really spread not only books, but spread literacy. And now think about what technology has done for the book. Okay. Anyone can write a book and then publish it online themselves. That's how I got started online, in fact. I wrote a little book of dating advice in a few weeks, and I put it online. But just think about the acceleration that technology is bringing to the equation. When technology touched money, okay, we invented things like gold coins. I mean, before we had gold coins, we had shells and salt and commodity money and representative money then came next. We had gold coins, then we made paper money. Now anyone can create and manage a complex personal portfolio. We can now essentially create our own investment fund. And now we can even launch our own currencies with the blockchain and with cryptocurrency. Okay, that's crazy. That is not something that we could do up until recently. When technology touched business, we invented things like accounting, and then we invented things like marketing and direct marketing, scientific advertising and marketing. And then we, over the last 10, 20 years, we invented these automated CRM or customer relationship management systems. And now literally anyone can set up a business online in a few hours and have all this technology at their fingertips that would have cost millions of dollars, literally would have been millions of dollars just a few years ago. And you can buy a system that, is $50 or $100 a month that has all these different tools in it. And if you really want to go big and spend like $500 or $1,000 a month, you can have technology that some of the biggest companies in the world didn't have just a couple of decades ago. Okay, it's really an extraordinary time, but we have to remember that we're in the great acceleration. I call it the great acceleration right now. Ray Kurzweil, he tracked the price performance increase of technology over the last 100 years, and he saw that following these principles like Moore's law, we were getting this doubling of price performance every year or two, every 18 months, if you follow kind of Moore's law, and that this is just, really hitting the knee of the curve right now. And we have to be paying attention to this. Okay. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to just do a little experiment here. And I want to show you some articles that I found, some articles and couple of videos here. So let's see, let's screen share. And we're going to screen share my entire screen. And then I'm going to come over here. And hopefully this is going to work. All right, so I have a futurism project right now. And I've been watching futurism news for the last few years, and I've had a couple of projects doing this. And I'm going to share with you just some interesting stories that, have come across my radar screen over the last 6 to 12 months. Okay, just a selection, just so we can get a sense of what technology is doing and how that relates to kind of the rest of our lives and so forth. Just give a little vision here. Okay, so here's a machine now that can solve the Rubik's Cube, a scrambled Rubik's Cube in 0.38 seconds. Okay, so this is about a third of a second. It can take a scrambled Rubik's Cube and it can look at it and then figure it out and then solve it. Okay, so they switch it on and it gets 0.38 seconds to look at it, figure out how it's jumbled up, and then solve it. See if you can watch the video. Whoops, let me just turn down my volume here just a little bit. Okay, here we go. Whoa, that was pretty fast. Let me try that again. Here we go. Now, you're watching this on a webinar, so, it probably just goes from unsolved to solved, but you can go look this up on YouTube, and it's still pretty fast, of course, right? But I don't know, solving a Rubik's Cube. I remember when I used to ride the school bus, and there was a girl on the school bus who was a couple of years older than me, and she knew how to solve the Rubik's Cube. You know, I was probably like, I don't know, 10, and she might have been 12 or something. And, you know, you could give her your Rubik's Cube and she could sit there for like the whole school bus ride for, 20 or 30 minutes. The machine can do this now in 0.38 seconds. Take a look at this one. Toyota has created a free-throwing basketball robot. And it always hits. Every shot, it hits. All right. So think about solving Rubik's Cubes. Now think about playing basketball. Okay. Now soon this robot's going to be running around. Check this one out. Watch a robot build a 3D printed house. Here, just watch a little clip of this. And there's what it looks like when it's finished. Okay, so they're 3D printing houses right now. Okay, and it's being printed in such a way so that it uses very little energy for 100 years. Right, that's going to change the construction industry. Here's a fun one. First image made of an atom spinning. The first time that they've imaged atoms spinning. I don't know if you saw the video that came out maybe, it's probably 2 years ago, where they have the first images of planets orbiting another star. They actually have a movie of it that you can go look up. Incredible what we're doing with optics here. One story. Sourced. Employee sends own job to China. Here, suspicion that it's turned into a case of worker outsourcing his own job to a Chinese consulting that's a Verizon security team. The man was called up and they thought they were being hacked, but developers was outsourcing his job to some work, surf the web, and like watching videos and like, and it's kind of, I don't know, there's something about this that's like a little zeitgeist, like sign of the times, you know. Here, look at this. ICOs, right? Initial coin offerings. Blockchain, cryptocurrency. Blockchain and cryptocurrency startups last year raised more money by doing their own initial coin offerings than they did by raising money from venture capitalists. Okay? Billions and billions of dollars. And you can see here some of those launches. You know, Solve.care raised $35 million. Cloud Moolah, $12,300,000. Shopin, $45 million. Proxima X, $28 million. Signals, $2 million. Saifu, $13 million. And there were some other big ones last year. Let's see if any of them are on this list. Here we go. Telegram. Okay, they raised $1.7 billion by launching their own crypto. Several other 50, 100, 200 million. What's going on with artificial intelligence? All right, this is a news story that I just saw. What you're seeing is this image right here is where they just cut out, you know, they just kind of erase one's head, and the computer is guessing what would be there. Okay, it's just guessing. And if you go watch this, it's really interesting. It guesses what would be there, right? So that's artificial intelligence. This was really interesting. If you watched AlphaGo beat the world Go champion, and you know, we won't go too far down this rabbit hole. That was very interesting. But this was a fascinating article in Technology Review that told the story about how AlphaZero, which is the new artificial intelligence that Google's been building here, and from DeepMind here, and talked about this chess champion. And he said it doesn't play like a human, and it doesn't play like a program. It plays like in a third, almost alien way. And it goes on to tell the story about how in this game that it was playing, it sacrificed a bishop and a queen. And if you play chess at all, you understand that like sacrificing these very high value pieces, it's just not something that really happens. And he said here, it was very interesting. He said, it's like chess from another dimension. Okay? They're saying it's like an intelligence from another dimension came down here and is playing chess in a way that we can't even understand. Google AI creates its own child AI that's even more advanced than systems built by humans. So now we've got artificial intelligence that's making artificial intelligence. You know, this new version of the artificial intelligence was actually made by artificial intelligence. I find this interesting. China has said that they're going to be the global leader in AI. They've made that one of their top priorities. In the Middle East, which country? It might have been the Emirates, I think, has a minister of artificial intelligence in the government. Okay, so think about that. They have a minister of artificial intelligence. And then you may have seen this, you know, Sophia, which is Ben Goertzel runs around with this artificial intelligence robot that he has named Sophia. And actually, Annie and I just saw him at a conference at the end of last year. And Sophia was granted citizenship to Saudi Arabia. Right? She was granted citizenship. Now you might say like, oh, that's just kind of, you know, weird. You know, that's kind of, I don't know, that doesn't make that, maybe that's irrelevant. But I don't know. You know, start watching some of this stuff because this is coming. And I'm going to turn the webcam on. Do me a favor here. Will you just go up to your comments there and just say, I can see you again and I can hear you. Just let me know that I'm back and my video are back. Good? Okay, awesome. Then what we're going to do is I'm going to go back to dropping some knowledge, as they say. Oh, by the way, you know, this futurism news thing is a big deal. And I really recommend that you pay attention to futurists and watch news about the future, because this is where you can discover big opportunities. All right, so we're going to talk in a moment about some of my favorite opportunities for 2018. Let's talk about some of the opportunities that are not my favorites. Okay, some of the ones that that we really probably want to avoid because they're not going to be going in the right direction. Check these out. I read an article. Mortgage brokers down 45% in 10 years. And I used to work in the real estate and mortgage industry. And I mean, if you can imagine the boom that's happened over the last 10 years, you know, since the crash in 2007, 2008, and mortgage brokers are down 45% in 10 years. The printing industry also down 45% in 10 years. Why would this be? Well, because more and more people are getting their mortgages online, and because we're sending documents back and forth electronically. You know, and we're consuming news, news, and we're consuming information more directly by going online. Here's another one that's probably pretty intuitive. Telephone manufacturing down 50% in 10 years. Knitting apparel down 65% in 10 years. Right? Things are becoming automated. And here's one that I didn't think of. Librarians. 80% decline in librarians in the past 10 years. And this is important because we all have to start thinking a couple of moves ahead in our careers. We can't just be thinking about, you know, what our next business or our next job or our next work or our next project is going to be. We've got to start thinking multiple projects, multiple steps in advance. Okay, so sometimes they call it solution after next thinking. And whatever it is that you're thinking about getting involved in, go and do some research and make sure that it's not right on the verge of being over. All right. All right, so let's talk a little bit then about what's growing. because we want to ride the trends and we want to go with the flow. We want to move with the current so that as we grow and as we learn and as we develop in our business and our work, that we're going into trends that are going in the right direction. Okay, so I'll give a couple that are decidedly low tech, and then we'll move on to a couple of others. So we have a huge aging population. Okay, we're living longer than ever. Up until very recently in human evolution, something like 4 out of 5 of us died in childhood. You know, and our average lifespan was something like 15 years. Well, now with all of this, you know, all of these amazing innovations and vaccinations and healthcare and so forth, we are living these super long lives. So elder care is going to be a huge thing. If you look over in aging populations like Japan, you can see that they're already leading the way. And so there's going to be a lot of medical and a lot of elder care coming up. Huge trend, and there's not enough capacity. From what I understand about this isn't my world, but I hear that just not enough people are paying attention to this. It's just a huge opportunity. Another one is travel. Okay, travel experiences. More and more of us are traveling, right? The cost of traveling is dropping. Now we've got Airbnb, we've got cheaper hotels. Everybody wants to travel, right? It's very valuable to go to new places and have cultural experiences and learn, get a direct transmission about how other people live. Okay, so the travel industry is probably going to continue to boom, and there are going to be new forms of travel, and there are going to be new niche travel industries. You know, Airbnb is huge, but just like any industry, that one's going to fragment as well. Lists are going to be doing, you know, just luxury. Specialists are going to be just, you know, doing just bargain travel. To check on my connection here. Very interesting. And I've been traveling a lot over the last couple of years. It's I think it's a big opportunity. Technology, okay, technology itself is a huge opportunity. Hardware and software, okay. If you can go to work in technology in some way, if you can see yourself working there, I highly recommend it. I think it's a set of skills that all of us are going to need to learn if we're going to succeed, and particularly children. You know, make sure your children are technology literate. Another area that's growing in importance is design. All kinds of design. It used to be acceptable to have an ugly website. It's not anymore. Okay, and all of us are starting to realize that with just a little bit more effort, we can look good, we can dress well, we can have our homes look good, and higher touch, kind of higher tech design is going everywhere. And design is one of those things that requires, and I think it's a big opportunity. Wellness is another area that's very important, right? Wellness. Paul Zane Pilzer, he talked about this years ago. You know, he said wellness is going to be $1 trillion industry because people are going to recover from getting sick. They're also going to want to have peak physical health. They're going to want to get well and stay really, really well, right? So wellness, whether that be supplements, whether it be training and teaching, being a nutritionist, there are a lot of great opportunities in wellness. Another future is recruiting. Okay, recruiting. The war for talent is real, and as technology spreads and gets into everything, there are more and more startups in different technology to disrupt different areas. And recruiting, especially when it comes to technology, when it's technology and growth areas. So if you're good with people, right? If you're good at networking with people, if you're good socially, if you're good at helping people make good decisions, recruiting can be a very lucrative job. I've known lots of people who do very well with recruiting. Another one that is, I'll give you a couple that have just really come on the radar screen over the last year or two, that are outside the box. One of them is cannabis. Now, I am not recommending that you get involved in the cannabis industry, but it's one of these things that's, I mean, and just so you know, I am not involved in the cannabis industry. I've met people, I've had people that have, tried to get me to invest and advise and things like that. I haven't been involved in any of these things, but it's a huge. I mean, this is going to be massive. I read a special report by, I think it was Time Magazine, where they were predicting that there are going to be multiple billionaires made in this new industry, and this is a tidal shift that's happening. It's a cultural tidal shift. And the people that I've met who are involved in this, it's incredible. Silicon Valley venture capitalists, everyone's getting involved in this thing. But if it fits your value system, probably a lot of opportunity there. Another one, which I mentioned, is cryptocurrency. Okay, cryptocurrency and blockchain are these massive growth industries. Now, they're very dangerous too financially, because at any time they could go to zero. We just experienced about a 70% crash in cryptocurrency, and then now it's kind of going back up a little bit, and it's kind of going up and down. Don't know what's going to happen, but I just read that Jack Dorsey, I think it was Jack Dorsey, the founder of Square and also one of the founders of Twitter. He said, at some point we need a global money. We need a global currency, and I think that it's going to be Bitcoin. And I said, okay, that's not just anybody saying that. That's a really serious entrepreneur, and someone also that started a payment company. And it's one of the reasons why I'm personally interested in cryptocurrency and blockchain, because we've traveled a bit, and it's actually kind of a hassle to move money from one country to another, to like move around. And I'm talking to do it legitimately, to just move money around. It's very expensive. It's expensive to send money from one place to another, having to pay the banks and credit card companies and the online payment companies. Essentially, if cryptocurrency and blockchain can fulfill on their promises, it's essentially instant and free, almost free, to send any amount of value all around the planet. I'll talk about blockchain here in just a moment, because I want to dive into that. It's been interesting to me over the last year, and I want to talk a little bit about what it is. On Upwork, which is the big outsourcing and kind of contracting site, used to be Elance. They just recently I was looking, and their number 2 and number 3 fastest growing and like most in-demand job requests were both related to blockchain and cryptocurrency. And I'll bet if you had put them together, number 2 and 3, they probably would have made number 1. Right? And this is serious. This is really growing very fast. Now, there could be some other, again, innovative technology that comes out and makes all of these cryptocurrencies worth zero. But right now, they have a market cap in the range of something like $400 billion. This is big, and they were up to, just a few months ago, they were up to about $800 billion. So let's talk for a second, because I'm very interested in blockchain and cryptocurrency, and not just because it's a good investment opportunity, but because there's something new happening here. And whenever you're experiencing a paradigm shift, whenever one way of doing something is turning into another way of doing something, it's worth paying attention to. Okay, even if you don't invest in it, even if you're not going to work there, I think that it's worth it to get up to speed. So just a little bit of history and a little bit about what this is. By the way, I am not a developer. I'm not a programmer. I'm not a mathematician. What I'm telling you here is just what I've picked up online, but what I think is worth transmitting. In the 2007-2008 crash, right, the kind of financial and real estate crash, a lot of people became disillusioned. And one person or a group of people also became disillusioned, and they go by the online handle of Satoshi Nakamoto. Now, this is somebody that we don't know who they are. We don't know if it's one person or several people. It could be one person, but they've essentially disappeared. In 2009, they published a white paper online that talked about a new way of using technology to essentially create a platform called the blockchain. And then on top of that, they created their first application of the blockchain called Bitcoin. It's important to understand that Bitcoin is not the thing, that Bitcoin is something that was built on top of the thing, which is the blockchain. The blockchain is the thing. Bitcoin was built on top of it. It's kind of like, Google is a big deal. It's a pretty big deal, but Google isn't the thing. The internet is the thing, and Google was something that was built on top of it. right? The internet is way, way, way bigger than Google is, and the blockchain is way, way, way bigger than just cryptocurrency or just Bitcoin. All right, so what is the blockchain? Well, there are these problems that in cryptography that they've been trying to figure out and solve for a long time. And one of them is what they call the double spend problem, where if I have a digital asset and I say to you, here, I'll sell you this digital asset. Okay, I'm going to sell it to you and you give me some money. I could sell you the digital asset, but because it's digital, I could also sell it to another person at the same time. If I have some digital money, right, on my computer and I send it to you, I could also send it to another person at the same time. And the two of you would have no way of knowing that I sent it to both of you, right? This is called the double spend problem. Until now, the way that this was always solved is that banks had a centralized ledger. And if I wanted to send you money, I would have to go to, let's say a bank, I have to go to Chase, and I'd say to Chase, hey, I want to send my friend $100. Will you send them $100? And then Chase, who's holding my money, would send my friend $100. And then they would take it off of my account. So Chase is getting paid to be the centralized ledger. And then if my friend wanted to send me money, they could call up Chase and have Chase send the money to me. That was the way that we solved the double spend problem. Well, Satoshi Nakamoto took, probably 6 or 7 different really interesting pieces of technology and different ideas from distributed ledgers to using a whole bunch of computers to build a network, so the whole thing's distributed, to what's called public key cryptography and a bunch of things, and fit them all together and made this invention called the blockchain. And the way that it works is that all the computers on the network, they all have a copy of the whole register. Okay, so like a bank register, the bank has, how much money you've received. Well, in this distributed model here, what happens is everyone, all the computers, a copy of the ledger, and that's pretty interesting. And then what happens is if I want to send dollars or $100 for that matter, I send it to you. It goes up onto the network, validate that the transaction is good, and just record every computer in the whole network. So now we've got this distributed ledger, and also we've got a solution to the double spend problem because the network prevents me from sending the money to 2 different people or whatever the assets are to 2 different people at once. All right, so if I haven't bored you yet, I recommend that you go and read up on this and go learn about it. Go read some articles. There's some great Medium posts and things. You can just kind of get blockchain and cryptocurrencies primer online, but go check it out and take a look at what's happening here, because something new is going on, and the people that are involved in this, they're not just interested in money. I've been meeting a lot of these folks here, a lot of these founders, and they're revolutionaries. They're trying to create a new way of doing government, a new way of doing money, a new way of owning assets, right? Interesting. So go check that one out. All right, I want models, a couple of ideas here. Let me just check here. Just going to touch back in and make sure everything's going here. All right, how's everybody doing? How's everybody feeling? Give me a little, if you're learning. Okay, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to just I'm going to take a look, and I'm going to give you an exercise to do. Okay, I'm going to give you just going to give you like 2 or 3 minutes to do a quick exercise. Okay, and the exercise goes like this: of everything that I've said here to you, which is the thing that resonates for you? Which is the thing that you're going to be able to take and go do something with and actually use in some way in your life, in your business somewhere? Okay, what is it? And how do you think that you're going to use it to create more opportunity for yourself? Okay, so I'm going to give you like 3 minutes here to do that exercise. I'm going to come right back. Okay. I'm looking through comments here, and I'm looking at everybody's saying that they're having issues with the audio, and I'm seeing some people saying that it's good, but some people that are saying that they're having trouble with the audio and the video. Yeah, it looks like, I can't really figure it out. I don't know. I don't know what's going on. And I'm really sorry about this. I'm not sure what's happening because I got a good solid internet connection here. Okay, so you know what we'll do is I'm going to keep rolling. I'm going to keep going. And we're just going to do the best that we can. And if this is... I'm wondering, I'm just trying to think about what to do here because I don't think that I don't think that we should be having problems right now. All right, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to keep rolling. I'm going to keep rolling because it looks like a few folks are having issues, but I see a lot of people saying that everything's good. Okay. All right, good. All right, well, we're going to roll. I'm going to keep rolling, and if this is goofy, what I'll do is maybe I'll do another one of these, and we'll figure out how to get it right. Okay. And if it's been a little choppy for you, I'm sorry. All right. Here we go. So I want to talk a little bit also about the nature of opportunity and the types of work and projects that we're going to be experiencing into the future over the next few years. One of the things I think we have to realize is that the future is what I might call multi-project. I believe that each of us is going to be working on more than one work or business project at a time in the future. Okay, so it's becoming common to have kind of your main work and then your side project. Okay, and in my own life right now, I always have usually kind of 2 or 3 main things that I'm doing, right? 2 or 3 kind of main business projects that I'm working on. And one of those might be an investment that I've made where I'm then advising the person. Another one might be, where I'm doing a new startup and I'm just trying it. Another one might be a passion project that I'm working on that might be, hopefully is going to turn into a business. But I think we have to realize that the future is multi-project. And also, I think it's a good idea to look at Hollywood and how they do things, right? Because in Hollywood, there's no permanent work in the movie industry, right? You make a movie and then you launch the movie and then everyone goes and they work on other projects, so they kind of come together as a group and then they kind of dissolve back into the mass and then they come together into other groups. And I think that's going to be happening more and more and more, especially as we move into the kind of the future of being a knowledge and technology economy. So I think those are 2 really good models. A set of skills that I think that we all need to learn in order to kind of cope and succeed in this world are what we could call collaboration skills. And collaboration, the way I think of it is collaboration is not just, 2 people working on the same thing at the same time. Collaboration is when you're working with very different people and combining your skills to do something that none of you could do individually. Adam Smith's Pin Factory is one of my favorite examples of this, this was a couple hundred years ago, where he talked about that if you worked at a pin factory making, like little pins that you would put in clothes, if you had and that one person was making all the pins. I'm noticing here, I'm just kind of noticing, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to turn my webcam. Okay. I'm going to just try this for a minute here. I'm going to just broadcast audio. How this, because I was kind of watching there, and so I'm going to talk for about a minute, and then I want you to tell me if this was better. Okay, I want you to tell me if this was better. So collaboration, right? So Adam Smith, right? If you have a pin factory and you're making pins all by yourself, one person working in a pin factory, they can only make a little handful of pins in a day. But if you take 10 people and you divide up the work between 10 different people, then those 10 people, you know, one of them draws the wire and one of them cuts it and one of them sharpens the pins and one of them puts the pin heads on and all this kind of thing. Well, in that kind of thousands and times as many. This is the way that I think about collaboration. Do as you want with people who have skills that are the most different from you. Okay. Important to both of you. Right now in my life, for the last year or two, I've really been trying to work with different types of designers, because I think, and these are visual designers, because I think that we all are going to have to get better at expressing our thoughts through graphs and visuals and things like this. And I'm not a visual designer, but I'm learning about it and I'm getting better and better. But I really love collaborating with visual designers, because I can talk about the thing that I want to see, and then they can kind of create it. Future here to work on is entrepreneur skills. Okay, Mark Zuckerberg said in his Harvard address that we're now an entrepreneurial culture, and you know, as I said earlier, right, the internet it's like accelerating everything. It's not just accelerating knowledge; it's also accelerating entrepreneurship. And each of us can now be like a little miniature corporation. We're kind of the CEO of our own lives, and we have to learn entrepreneur skills. And as I said, I think we're coming into a time where we're going to be a multi-project species, you know, where we're all going to have multi-projects going on. And so entrepreneur skills are critical. Entrepreneur skills meaning designing products, doing marketing, hiring people, driving projects, doing promotion. We all have to become visionaries now. All right, so question. I just switched over to kind of just audio. How is that, everyone? How's just the audio treating you? And I just have to wait here about 7 or 10 seconds before I can all right. You know, I can see the comments are streaming in slow, and this indicates to me that yeah, this must be something wrong with the network here, because even the comments coming to me are kind of stuttery. That's unfortunate. I'm going to keep going though. I'm going to keep jamming. So this leads to what we might call my favorite entrepreneurial opportunities today. All right. And so my favorite opportunities are, the first one, I guess I would say it's kind of a general category of an entrepreneurial opportunity. And that would be presenting and teaching. Kind of like what I'm doing right now, presenting and teaching. But it's a little different than the way we would be presenting and teaching in the past. So if you think about teachers, you know, school teachers, what a school teacher typically does is they have books, and then all the students have the book, and then the teacher teaches from the book. So the teacher is teaching knowledge that someone else came up with. Okay, they're making a presentation using a format of other people's knowledge. Well, now what we're moving into is a time when teaching and presenting, it's not about teaching and presenting something that someone else came up with. It's about teaching and presenting what you've learned and what you've uniquely figured out in this world, and what you are uniquely good at. And I've really made my career over the last over 15 years by going and learning new things and then coming back and teaching those new things to people in the form of presentations and books and seminars and online courses and products and things. And I find this to be, I think this is the future. I think we're all going to need to have teaching and presenting as part of what we do, because knowledge is becoming the most valuable thing, and you have so much of it locked up in your head about the different topics that you know something about. And there are people who are coming up and learning in the domain where you're, where you have some expertise, and if you teach that knowledge to them, that will be really valuable, because that could save them time, hassle, it could save them years of their life. So I think we all have to learn how to teach and present. And instead of learning how to teach and present somebody else's ideas, we need to learn to teach and present our own ideas. One of my friends who's a musician, he talks about how in the 60s, the music industry changed because the Beatles came along. And the way it was before them was there were songwriters and then there were performers. And so someone would write a song and then a bunch of performers would pick it up. And sometimes you'd have a song in the charts and there'd be multiple versions of the song at the top of the charts by different people, because somebody wrote the song and then the performers would go and actually perform the song and do the recording. So the Beatles showed up and then they started writing all their own songs. And with them came the idea of kind of the birth of the singer-songwriter. There were singer-songwriters before that, but this was the popularization of it. This is where it went mainstream. So they were creating their own music and they were also playing it. That's what I'm talking about here when I'm talking about teaching and presenting, is we need to get in touch with what we're good at and understand what we're good at, and then also learn how to teach and present and coach people so that we can get our knowledge from in our heads out to other people and we can monetize it. Now, I like to do that in the form of knowledge products, audio, video courses, and so forth. I also really like coaching. I mentioned coaching. I created a course on coaching last year that I think is very powerful. I think of coaching as a cornerstone skill of the future. I define coaching as supporting another person as they go through a transition in their life. Okay, that's my simplest definition. Supporting another person as they go through the transition in their life. And more of us are having transitions across our whole life. We're having transitions in work and transitions in our relationship, and we're moving and we're having kids, and life is just, it's getting more complex. And we also have fewer friends. We have fewer real social relationships. So we don't have the support that we need when we're going through transitions. Enter coaching. Right. So I think that coaching is a key skill, and it's also so powerful to learn because you use it everywhere. You use it in all of your relationships. I've been learning about coaching for many years, 15, 20 years, and I've just used it a lot. I've taught it a bit, but a few years ago, I realized that it was not optional to learn coaching, and that no matter what you're doing, whether you're doing projects for people, whether you're managing people, whether you're leading, whether you're an entrepreneur, whether you work in a company, whether you work for yourself, whether you are single and having relationships, or whether you're in a family, it doesn't matter, right? We're all going through more transitions. And if you want to be more valuable to other people, learn to support people who are going through transitions. And it's not about telling them what to do. On the contrary, it's actually about standing back and facilitating as they do the work and they go through the transition. I also think that marketing it's one of those future-proof skills, right? I talk about future-proof skills in the book. Marketing is a key thing to learn right now, particularly if you haven't learned it yet in your life. If you're not able to promote yourself and your own products, things are going to become much more difficult in the future. The good news is that marketing is a skill that you can learn. Something to keep in mind here, there's this idea of, I think it was Buckminster Fuller, he came up with the knowledge doubling curve. How long does it take for all the knowledge on the planet to double? Right? Any guesses how long it takes for all the knowledge on the planet to double? In the year 1900, the knowledge was doubling approximately every century. Okay, so in the year 1900, to double. Just after the war, knowledge was doubling every 25 years, right? So in doubling every century to doubling every 25, you might say, well, you know, Eben, this isn't that interesting. I mean, so what if it takes? Now it's estimated that knowledge is doubling every, and with all these sensors and smart cities, that in just a few years, that the amount of knowledge that's going to be on every 12 hours. Okay, so knowledge and information and data, this is it's one of the new key resources, and we really have to learn to manage it. One of the frameworks that we should all take on is taking on a lifelong learning mindset. You know, we just cannot afford to waste time doing things that we're not learning from anymore. As a general rule, we should all be putting at least 20% of our time into learning new things, learning new skills. And we shouldn't be doing anything that we're not learning from. Right now I'm presenting, right? I'm teaching you, but I'm also learning because I'm teaching new material about opportunity, higher level. And I'm also experimenting. I'm seeing how people in the future. Right, so always be doing things that are changing, and don't do things that are just time wasters. You know, don't do idle time wasters anymore because it's too expensive. You know, it's just too expensive. You know, so we will in the future here. I'll follow up with and you'll stay with me for Opportunity Month and do the 30-day opportunity challenge and all the book studies with me. If for some reason you didn't sign up for that stuff, please just send an email over to me at help@ebenpagan.com. Okay, help@ebenpagan.com. And signed up for that on Thursday. Yeah, so those are some great ideas for opportunity for 2018. You know what? I also want to give you a link here. One moment here. I'm going to give you this link, and it's a link. If you're interested in some of my courses, we also teach all of these different things that I'm talking about here about online marketing, coaching, creating digital products and courses, and so forth. And if you just go to ebenpagantraining.com/products, and I just put the link in the chat here, but it's just ebenpagantraining.com/products. You can look through all the different programs we've got. I've got a quick video on there that I think is 14 or 15 minutes that'll walk you through the different programs that we have and explain them all to you. So if you're interested in learning more about some of the key industries here that I talked about, because I'm really serious about this stuff, and I think we have the best programs in the world, again, just go to ebenpagantraining.com/products, ebenpagantraining.com/products. All right, so now I'm going to take some questions, and again, I'm really sorry about the goofiness with the technology there. All right, so if you have questions for me, just go ahead and drop them in, and my team will put them into the document here, and I'll stay on here for a bit and answer some of them. Nebo says, read your book. What's the percentage of time you'd suggest for business, hobby, and contribution projects? What share? I'm thinking here that this has to do with the phase of your life where you're at. Okay, so if you're early on in your career, you might be putting more time into learning and business and entrepreneurship because you can afford to take more risks. You know, you can afford to try more things. And you can also, you can just goof around more because there's less at stake. If you're more toward the middle of your life, now I'm married. I have a little daughter that runs around the house, and there are a lot more demands on my time. So I can spend less time on my business right? And I'm also more interested in making contributions and helping other people. So I also dedicate more time to, contribution, raising money for philanthropic projects sometimes, but just generally helping people out. Just a lot of people come to me from my family or my friends who are having challenges that they think I could help them solve, and so I try to dedicate more to those types of things. I don't really have a specific answer on percentages, but there's a rough framework that I use. Aaron says, question, can you speak a little on creating my digital product? I'm now attempting to research my outline, but the Google keyword tool isn't searching for me for some reason. I've contacted a keyword expert. What are your thoughts? Okay. Yeah, not sure what's going on with the Google keyword tool, but you could always go to Google Trends. Okay, and Google Trends will give you a pretty good idea if you just type in keywords there, and it'll show you whether they're going up and down. The most important thing you can do if you're going to create a digital product or an online course, the most important thing that you can do is find people who are prospective customers and talk to them. Okay, talk to them and ask them, what are your challenges right now? What are you trying to do? What have you tried that worked for you? What have you tried that didn't work? Okay, and just interact with them and then help those people to get the results that they want. Okay, so if you're going to create, let's say you're going to create a digital product on getting fit or working out. Well, go and talk to people who want to work out and talk to them about what their challenges are, and then help them with your knowledge and see which things they put into practice and see which things they use. One of the things that I find that is it's not intuitive for people who are creating digital products in a lot of cases to go and actually talk to their prospective customers before they create the product. In a lot of cases, even if I tell them, instead of talking to people, which takes a little time, and making sure that their knowledge is on point, they'll go and spend 6 or 12 months creating this digital product without conferring with their customers who will help them create it. And then when they launch it, customers aren't interested because they were creating the product inside of a bubble. So go and talk to your customers. Okay, Alex says, hi, Evan, love the book. My question, I'm struggling with choosing between business-oriented info products and artistic opportunities and entertainment products, books, podcasts, and YouTube. How can creative and artistic info products succeed? Thanks. You've been a major inspiration for me. Okay, so let me see if I can understand exactly what you're saying. How can creative and artistic info products succeed? Yeah, well, there are two. So there's two angles I'll give you on this. First of all, more people, I think, than ever are interested in artistic and creative pursuits. And if you're an artist and you can also teach, there are, I think, a lot of opportunities to teach other people how to do art, how to do music, how to do dance. And I've known a lot of people who've been very successful there. Now, with that said, people will tend to pay more for business-oriented online products than they will for artistic products. And the reason for this is pretty simple once you understand it. If someone is online looking for a solution because they want to grow their business, and let's say they want more customers, if they can get more customers, that's going to be extremely valuable to them. If you're selling a product for, let's say, $200 that can help them get a few more customers, and they could make $2,000 or $20,000, it's just a no-brainer. But if you're teaching someone how to do art, it's a little harder to explain to them how buying your product for $200 is going to give them the return that they want. It can be done, of course, and a lot of people are doing it successfully. But I guess that's my answer to how do you choose between a business-oriented product and an artistic product or entertainment. Zij says, is this robots creating robots saying that they can be autonomous? That's a good question. There's a lot of speculation about that one. And yeah, I don't think I'm going to go down that rabbit hole, but a lot of drones are, if you just think about when you get on an airplane flying it, it's about 99% autonomous. grab the wheel, so to speak, once in a while. It says, how can I balance between the virtual coaching program, a job, so much information within just one course? Yes, I know. And Aaron, and is if you're going through courses day of learning, if you listen an hour a day yet, make sure you go through the Wake Up Productive course, because in that course, over 90 days, we put 2 habits, 2 rituals in place, and you will double your productivity. Okay. And I guarantee that you'll double your productivity if you go through it. So go through that one, because one of the things I've realized is that we have to free up the time to, to study this material. So make sure you go through Wake Up Productive, and I think that that will help you out a lot. Okay, so is there going to be a replay available? Yes, there will. I'm hoping that the replay was good enough to actually send, because it sounds like we've been. I'll probably try to just make like. Okay. Looking at the questions here again here, trying to find a good one. As an art collector, what do you look for in art while keeping a mind to the future? Yeah, well, let me go back over here. I'm going to turn my video back on for a second here. I look for this art. I love art by visionary artists. My wife and I found this art at Burning Man about 6 or 7 years ago. And I mentioned some of them in the book. Android Jones, the spectacular artist, he designed the cover image of this book. And yeah, I love these folks. Go check out Android Jones. Some of the other people on the walls behind me, that's Emma Watkinson right there, that kind of orangey one. That's an amazing piece. Right over there is an artist named Michael Devine. Okay, so Emma Watkinson, Michael Devine. Behind me, that painting is by an artist named Colin Elder. Over there in the corner, over there, is another one of my favorite artists. His name is Dennis Constantine. Okay, Dennis Constantine. Go check them out. This art, this visionary art, it hasn't gone mainstream yet. It's just getting a show at the Smithsonian right now. It's just in the Smithsonian, Washington, D.C. They're having an Art of Burning Man, and Android Jones has a bunch of his art in it. And I think that, yeah, this is the stuff right here, as far as I'm concerned. Yeah. All right. So I'm turning my video off, going back to questions. I think that that's art from the future. Sharon asks, regarding teaching and presenting, there are already so many channels through which to do this. How have you made sense of this? Well, the key isn't the channel. The key is the presenting. Okay, it's learning to teach and present, because then you can use any channel. Okay, you can get on Facebook and go do Facebook Live. You can record an audio, make a video. There are only a few really main ways that this is done. I mean, it's either in writing through words, it's on audio, or it's through video. And, maybe there are one or two others, you could say webinars, but that's basically audio and video. So what you want to do is just work on writing, audio, and video, and then get good at it. And then you can go and do it through whatever channel you choose. And the way to choose the channel is to go and look for your clients, like go look for your customers, see where they're at. Do they prefer an audio course? Is it something they're going to listen to while they're driving to work? Or do they prefer a video course, something they can watch? Which packaging would make the information appear most valuable, right? So you want to ask questions like this. Let's see. John asks, what are your thoughts on learning copywriting? Yeah, John, I think that copywriting is one of those future-proof skills that I was talking about earlier. Copywriting is essentially learning how to write persuasively. It's learning how to put words together that motivate people to do things. I think it was John E. Kennedy that says copywriting is salesmanship in print. And if you just think about how much distraction and noise there is in the world right now and how much more there's going to be in the future, we have to cut through the noise. We have to get good at making written communications and audio and video communications that cut through the noise. And so, yes, definitely learn copywriting. Oh, Kathleen says, as you were mentioning the speed of knowledge doubling, the audio went out for her. All right, so I think it was Buckminster Fuller. He talked about the knowledge doubling curve. And he said that in the year 1900, knowledge was doubling every 100 years. And then at the end of World War II, so let's say around 1950, it was doubling approximately every 25 years. But now it's doubling approximately every year. Okay, it's really accelerating. Charles, so I see some questions in here from folks that are about, their courses and, if you got issues and things. Just write to help@ebenpagan.com, HELP, help@ebenpagan.com. And one of my team members will get back to you if you're having, trouble logging in, or if you didn't get something, or, if something was goofy, and we'll get back to you and help you out. Here, Jerry says, if you think the demands on your time reduce when you get beyond 65, think again. Here I am still studying at 70 plus. Good for you, Jerry. And the way you spell Jerry, my mentor, Jerry Ballinger, his name was spelled like yours. Okay, so Rishi says, could you speak more about what you said about having 2 or 3 main things that you're working on, or having a side project? If possible, could you speak about a couple of examples of this, say 5 years ago for you and now? It would be very helpful to understand how you split time for this. Sure. So in my life right now, I've got a few main kind of business projects that I'm working on. And I also have a family, and I spend time with my daughter and my wife. And then also about half the year, actually more than half the year, we travel, and that actually takes up quite a bit of time as well. So I have a very busy life. Now, if you go back, 5+ years ago, before my daughter, when it was just me and my wife, I had one main business. And each year I would try to find one startup to invest in. So I had my main business that I would work in, and then I would have one company that I would invest, and then I would work with them as a kind of a coach mentor. And then, maybe I would have like a side project where I'm, doing an experiment, maybe helping or collaborating with someone on a startup to see if it goes somewhere, that kind of thing. Nowadays, so my daughter was born, and what I did is I broke my main company that I had for over 10 years. I broke it into 3 pieces, and I spun it off into 3 different businesses, and I had people that were working with me come on as my partners. Okay. And then they took over the businesses and they run them. And to different extents, I talk to and support those folks. 2 of them are kind of running totally and interact with them. Kind of published my partner, James, he came to work ago. Now he runs that. If I'm doing launch like this one, I write the book launch, and then that. And then I also have a couple of other, really good at time management, and things are most. If you look at the Pareto principle, if you look at it, or is this more true than in this type of you're getting or coming from? And it's very important to focus on that 20% and then just keep kind of narrowing on that 20% so you can keep doing the higher and higher value work. When I started my business online, I did all my own customer service. I built my own websites. I answered emails. I figured out how to, send my own email newsletters out. I did everything, right? But then as I grew, I realized, okay, there are things that are more valuable, like writing the newsletter or creating the course. That's the most valuable thing. And I can outsource, right? I can get some things off my plate. And yeah, I mean, I could go on with this one, but I think that you get the idea. Here's for people in coaching and information products, what are the biggest upcoming out for optimal success? Remember, change is accelerating. To learn new things to improve our own lives, in code that we distribute that knowledge and that information to others is going to be different. 10 just for those kind of things 10, 15 years ago. So you would have been doing it offline. You would have been working with people one-on-one. Send people in the mail. Then the internet shows up here. And then now all of a sudden we've got, streaming audio and video. We can do live video. We can create digital courses. We can create ebooks. This is a new channel. And then, several years from now, we're going to have virtual reality. And each of these is a little different, and you have to learn how each of them works. As I launched this book here, I did a lot of interviews with people that had radio shows and podcasts and lists and whatever. And it was fascinating. I would get on with my team and I would say, this is so interesting. Like, in one day, I drop in and I do an interview for a radio show, with, some people in the Midwest of the USA or whatever. And then I, drop in and I talk to somebody who's on another continent, someone that's over in Europe who's got, is doing a video for someone. And then, right. And it's like these totally different realities that are happening. And so, it's just keep learning new skills, keep learning what's going on with marketing and keep learning how to learn. Very important. One thing that I mentioned earlier, but I'll just talk a little bit more about here, is when you enter a lifelong learning and development model, when you get out of this old paradigm that, you've got your job and you work for 30 or 40 years and then you retire and that's it, and you go sit on the porch or something. When you think like Jerry, who said, I'm 70 years old plus and I'm still learning, right? That's how you keep your mind young. That's how you stay young on the inside, is you keep learning. I've seen some good research that learning new things actually creates like neurogenesis, where you go and create new neural connections in your brain. And so it keeps you growing and it keeps you energized to learn new things. And so we all need to do that. We all need to be constantly learning new things, and we need to be learning diverse new things, not just more about what we know. Okay. If you're an accountant go learn something about design and something about marketing. Okay, if you're an entrepreneur, go learn something about philanthropy. Right? If you're really into your religion, go learn something about business. Go learn something very, very different. If you're a physical person, if you're a physical type person, go learn some emotional and relationship skills. If you're more of a relationship person, go learn some mental models. Okay, if you're a computer programmer, go learn a sport, a physical sport. Go learn something very different. That's the magic when you learn very diverse skills. You see the intersections. I teach with, I've got a project with Michael Simmons, and we call it the Mental Model Club, where we teach people mental models for succeeding. By the way, if you're interested in it, you can go check it out. It's at mentalmodelclub.com, mentalmodelclub.com. And we've been teaching this model called the modern polymath. And a polymath is someone that's kind of an expert in multiple domains. What it's about now is learning 3 or more diverse skills. If you learn 3 or more diverse skills and you can get up to the top 20% in each of them, which isn't very hard because most people are amateurs in most skills. But if you can learn 3 different skills and get to the top 20% in those 3 skills and then combine them, you will be in the top 1% in your field. An example I was using that I just made up recently that came to me was last year, my wife and I were traveling, and we went to one of those rock climbing gyms. Have you seen those where there's the huge wall, but it's inside of a gym, and you put on the rope and you climb up the wall? And I thought when we went for the first night, I thought, okay, we're probably going to learn how to put the harness on and use the rope and whatever. And we'll probably climb up like 2 feet, and, we'll probably have to go back and do this a bunch of times, but before we'll be climbing the wall. No. You go in, they show you a few things, and then you just climb the wall right up to the top. It's pretty instant gratification because they have the beginner level, stuff. And I was looking at it and I was thinking, this was a really cool experience. It was really interesting, with holding the rope for my wife and my wife holding the rope for me. And the trust that you have to, a new level of trust you have to experience when someone else literally kind of has your life in their hands. And I thought, what a really neat thing this is. And I can see why it's such a big trend. Okay. And so then I was thinking about it and I thought, it probably wouldn't take very long to go and start learning, indoor rock climbing to get to the point where you were in the top 20%. I mean, you could probably take 90 days. And if you just went, 4 or 5 times a week and you took some lessons and you went with someone or a group of people who knew what they were doing, probably in, 2 or 3 months, you'd probably be in the top 20% of people that were doing that. And you might say, okay, what's the big deal about that? Well, it isn't, because that's, a lot of people are doing that. But then what if after that, you took the next 90 days and you went and you took up shooting video? Okay, and what if you put, let's say, an hour a day into learning how to shoot good video? You learned how to compose an image, you learned about lighting, you learned about different cameras, you learned about getting different shots, right? And you just spend 90 days. And by the way, you can learn, if you put an hour a day in for 90 days, I mean, even if you're only doing it 4 or 5 days a week, let's see, that's 13 weeks. And let's say times 4 days a week. So that would be 52 hours. Okay. So if you do 50 hours over 90 days and you do an hour a day, you get a course, you read a couple of books, you practice, okay, 50 hours, you will actually be able to shoot some amazing looking video. Okay. You will definitely be in the top 20% of people who are shooting video. And then let's say you took the next 90 days and you went and you learned social media. Okay. And 1 hour a day for 90 days, you took some courses on social media, you learned how to create content, you learned how to do social media marketing, right? You learned how to go in and boost your post and, do paid advertising and write ads and all that stuff, right? And again, in 50 hours, you could do a lot. Okay. So now what's happened? You did 90 days where you learned to, you did 90, And then you did 90 days where you learned about social media marketing. But that 3 skills you going of yourself. Wow. And then you went on social media and you started using as a metaphor. And maybe you even went and created a course. Put those people that would be trying to teach skills, complementary skills that really make. I'm going to here before we wrap up. Here's a fun question from Reed. Hi, Eben. If you came into a hypothetical sum of money, an inheritance, a large bonus, etc., how would you think about how to most wisely invest it or maximize opportunities with it? Does your answer in 2018 differ than an answer you might have given 5 or 10 years ago? Yeah, if I'm just thinking about this right now. I'm trying to imagine, for me versus for answer. And I was average. I would be looking at how can I find people who have more from. Probably hire them as coaches and teachers, or I would go to their live courses. If they have masterminds or groups like that, I'd probably go get involved with that because, again, learning, I'm making this up. I'm just estimating this, but over the last X factor, an increase in our ability to learn that doesn't have anything to do with our innate ability. It just has to do with what the internet has done. Right? If you just think back, let's say 20 years ago, to keep this simple, you'd walk into the course, you'd sit down, you'd get an average education by an average teacher. If you wanted to go to film school, you'd have to go to your local college, sign up, pay a whole bunch of money, be with an average teacher in an average class. Now, if you want to learn how to make movies and do film, you can go online and get a ton of free videos that are probably way better than the college education you would have had to pay for in the past. But you can also go on masterclass.com and you can go and learn from Ron Howard how to direct a movie. Okay, so it's not just that there's more education available, it's that the quality has gone way up as well. And you can fast forward and you can only learn the things that you want to learn. Yeah, so I would invest it in the next level of higher quality knowledge. How does your answer in 2018 differ? You know what? I think that's going to take too much time and processing power for me to think about how it changed. But just go get higher quality education. Victoria says, what are your thoughts on retail brick and mortar, boutique shops? How can you disrupt this landscape to stay viable besides the usual? One thing to keep in mind is that if you've got an offline component, so let's say you have a brick and mortar shop, what you want to do is you want to use all the online tools and technologies with the brick and mortar. So it's not an either or world, it's a both and world. So in your boutique shop, you want to make sure that every single person that walks through that door, that you get their contact information. right? Everyone that you possibly can, get their contact information. And if you can, learn a couple of things about them. Learn where they live, right? Learn what their hobbies are. Learn what's relevant. And then try to get some understanding of what kind of information they would love to get with you, get from you if you would stay in touch with them. And then create a follow-up like a newsletter, or create something where you can follow up with really valuable stuff. Also create conversion funnels so you can get those people to raise their hand, and then you can follow up and send them interesting stuff. The other thing is make sure you're in a good location, right? Because things are going to get a lot more competitive with the internet. And so if you're going to be doing retail, I think just generally, if you're in a boutique, probably location matters. All right, I'm going to do one more question, and then we'll wrap up here. David says, how do you make your online service stand out when the numbers of info products are exponentially growing each month? Let's see. So the basic answer, David, is you have to grow. Okay? You have to keep growing yourself, and you have to keep learning new things. And then you also have to learn about how teaching and learning is changing. This idea of becoming a lifelong learner and a self-developer, like where we're all just permanently going to be learning and developing ourselves, this is no joke, right? This is really what we have to do to catch up and to get ahead and to stay ahead. So, I also think, by the way, that if you really get in touch with what you're good at, and then you teach people something that you've learned, that you're passionate about, that you're really interested in, you can create courses that can stay relevant for a long time. You know, my first book that I wrote, Double Your Dating, people still buy it all the time. I'm amazed that they do, but people still buy it all the time. Just because there's more info products coming out doesn't mean that yours is going to become irrelevant. It just means that people are becoming interested in new things. And as long as you're growing and keeping your courses and keeping your training relevant, I think that you can do this. I think that you can keep up, but you got to keep growing. You have to keep growing. You have to keep developing yourself. All right, everyone. This was a lot of fun. Thank you so much for joining me, and thanks for joining our opportunity launch. Again, if you've got any questions or you need something, you can go to just send an email to help@ebenpagan.com, and we'll get back to you. If you want to join me for the 30-day opportunity challenge, where we're going to be doing book studies. We're doing our first one day after tomorrow. We're also going to be doing classes where I'm going to be going in depth more in some of the favorite opportunity models that I use. Just send an email to help@ebenpagan.com, and they'll get back to you. You can still sign up for that stuff while we've got time. So thanks, everybody. Thank you so much. It was great being here. Sorry again that the technology was a little bit glitchy. We'll do our best to see if we can figure that out for next time. All right. Thanks, everyone. Really appreciate it. All right. Have a great day or night or evening, wherever you are. All right. Bye-bye.